part of a team. We call it Take Back America. And if you've been following us a little bit, if you followed us a little bit, you'll know that we're really active, especially in our county, this county where many of us are. The idea was to be the pond to start making change. We don't believe that we're going to be able to change from the. We're not going to be able to change things very well from the top down. No offense to our governor candidates, but it's going to be really difficult to change things from the top down. So we're trying to change things from the bottom up. So we're starting with our county. We want our county. We want our people, the people in our county, to get involved in what's going on. We want our county to reflect the citizenship and our will, right? They govern at the consent of the governed. And right now, we don't consent with what's been going on in our county. And I don't know how you feel about what's going on in yours, but we don't consent in the things that are going on in our county. And we're working to change that. Ways that you can get involved in your county: go to school board meetings, city council meetings, go to the county commission meetings. Get involved in the things that are going on. Look for action committees, teams that are doing things in your community, and get involved. If you don't like what's happening, you have no right to complain if you're not getting involved. The other thing, one last thing, a really important way that you can get involved, okay, is right now, like in our county, we want to make some changes within the Clackamas County Republican Party with the leadership that's there. In order to do that, we need PCPs. If you don't know what a PCP is, we've got some information. Shelley would be happy to talk to you about it. Basically, it's a way you can get involved. But right now, I'm not going to do the big, large PCP spiel and all the things you can do. The number one thing that you can do is you're very powerful. PCPs are very powerful. When it comes time to vote for the leadership of your county party, you get to vote on that, and you can vote who you want in. You can vote somebody in who thinks like you, right, who has your values. And that's one of the biggest challenges we're having right now in our government, is people that we're bringing in don't have the character. They may have experience, but they lack the character that we want. I used to have a saying when I was a senior vice president in North America for a software company. I told them, we hire for character and we train for skills. And right now, you look around, some of the candidates that run, some of the people that are in place right now all over our government from the top down, a lot of character flaws. We have to get back to having good Judeo-Christian values in our government, right? So real quick, the time's passed on the PCPs, except you can do a write-in. So what we're encouraging people to do, if it's all that you do right now is sign up, if it's all you do is sign up right now and do a write-in as a PCP, and the only thing you do is show up at the meeting when it comes time to vote, if that's all you do, do it. You can get involved more if you want, but sign up, show up at that meeting, help us vote out these I don't even want to call them rhinos because that's too polite, right? It's too polite. So sign up, show up at the meeting, vote, right? Change the leadership in your county. That's what you can do. All right, enough said. So as you all know, Seth Keshel is here. He's going to... AKA the vest. The format is basically going to be this. As opposed to being something where the candidates stand up and give their spiel for 3 minutes and put us all to sleep, by the time you get through 9 people, right, it gets to be too long. So the idea is we're going to have more of a discussion. Seth is going to moderate it for us. Not everybody necessarily is going to comment on that, but they can raise their hand, get a chance to kind of comment on it. And the idea is to give you a chance to get to know who they are, and not so much the typical spiel that you get or the stuff you get from their flyer, right? Get to hear them talk, get a little bit of an idea of who they are, and for that matter, what their character is. Okay? So with no further ado, Seth Keshel.
All right, everybody, good evening. Thank you so much for being here. It was so fun last time we decided to get together and do it again. It's a two-front war as far as the fight for liberty is concerned. Okay, we have the wounds of the past, including the election of 2020. That's not something that people are letting go of. I'm not letting go of that. We also have the front facing forward. Okay, these are candidates running for office. One of the things that has really upset grassroots folks, patriots in this country, is the duplicity of our elected leaders. Being lied to repeatedly over and over again, not having a clear stance on policy. This is not a got you session. This is a discussion. It's not really even a debate. There's only two people that are running against each other here. But everyone here is going to be able to tell about themselves, and we're also I'm going to moderate this in a way where I'm going to ask questions by group. There's 4 different groups. We have 2 gubernatorial candidates. We have 3 U.S. House candidates. We have 2 State House candidates, and we have 2 local commissioner candidates. So we're going to break the questions up like that. It is 8:15, 7:15. All right. I was 2 time zones west of here a couple weeks ago, so you're going to have to give me some grace on that. But for the first half hour, we're going to let them pass the mic and introduce themselves and ask a few questions. And then in the next half hour, the final half hour, if you have specific questions, then form a line over here by the chow line. Talk to me. We'll see if we can get that question in. And that way we can make sure that they get a chance to air their platforms where they can talk about themselves, their unique qualifications for office. We're getting to an age where people are running on their own merits rather than a political pedigree, and that's an important thing. So without further ado, let's introduce the candidates. I'm going to introduce them. If you stand up when I call your name, we're going to pass the mic when we're done with this. For governor, we have Bridget Barton. All right, Bridget, you have 1 minute to introduce yourself. Just give us a brief overview of who you are and what you're about.
Okay, thank you. First of all, happy St. Patrick's Day. My name is actually Bridget Eileen Barton, so I'm pretty Irish. I am running as an outsider, as a Republican for governor. And you know, our elected officials they've just absolutely let us off a cliff here in Oregon. And this election is critical. So I'm coming in, I have no baggage, I have not held political office. That means I don't owe anyone anything, and that means I can do anything. I am not running to get the job, I'm running to do the job, and I have nothing to lose, so I will go after those leftist progressives, and I will hold them accountable on your behalf. So I have behind me a very strong grassroots campaign, a strong fundraising base, and I have Glenn Youngkin's strategy team leading my race. You know, looking last year, outsiders won in upset elections, and I am going to win this primary as an outsider and bring freedom back to Oregon. Thank you.
The next candidate for governor is Marc Thielman.
Everybody. So as you guys know, we're in like 6 weeks before ballots go out. So we are in the short timer syndrome. Now, I'd love to get up here and say I have nothing to lose, but I'm unemployed. I'm all in to win this race. So if, and we all have everything to lose. Our faith, our families, and our freedom. Okay? Those are big deals in this state of Oregon and in this country we call the United States of America. And I want to implore everybody tonight, when we're talking about a person of a certain kind of character, we need a person who can stand in the heat, who has demonstrated that it's not about them. And I always want to say it this way, you don't know me, it's switching out. I did that on purpose. Anyway, for those who don't know me, I'm the guy who kept the school open during COVID, and then we had no cases of COVID traced to the classroom. And yeah, good. I'm the one who took on Governor Brown when it came to the remasking of our children.
Marc, what time?
Yeah?
Time.
What's that?
What time? 1 minute.
Oh, I'm at what?
Yep.
You cut me off?
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, I'm Marc Thielman. We'll talk some more.
We have 3 candidates for the United States House. And we have in running for House District 2, Marc Kavanagh.
So good to see y'all. Good to be here. I didn't ask for this. I just sort of got into politics through doing a bunch of nonprofit work. I'd started out, I joined the Army when I was 17. Grew up now 7 generations in Klamath Basin, early homesteaders to the 7th just now. But anyway, it's been, I had a great career in doing nonprofit development work that just blew up. I wound up with a bunch of board members that were running big pharma and big tech, and infiltrated the deep state without realizing it. About the time COVID started picking up, one of my old board members was the guy that made the AstraZeneca. And he had a lot of say about it, and it really got me into this. To COVID, knowing some insider info from a lot of these members I met, and throughout my life, getting into the entertainment world and others, I always remained a Christian. I always remained, good to my heart, and I could see some of the stuff
Marc,
that I was
time.
uncovering was,
We got to keep this moving,
needed
you
some
guys.
fixing. So I'm here to fix it.
For U.S. House District 5, John DePaula.
I don't want that other microphone. My name's John DePaula. I'm the grandson of immigrants, hardworking parents that came here, and they lived the American dream. They were hardworking and honest, and they instilled those values in me, and I was fortunate enough to enjoy what I call the American franchise. Citizenship, life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, and one person, one citizen, one vote. So through working hard in paper mills and construction sites and having my own businesses, I got myself through medical school, became a surgeon, and I spent my career serving the working people of Oregon. And it's the greatest experience I've ever had. What a privilege it's been. And now I want to serve those people that were the people that I grew up with, that supported me when I was young. They were all blue-collar folks. And so I'm here for the people, and that's my litmus test. It only works if it works for the people.
For U.S. House 6, Angela Plowhead.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Angela Plowhead. I was an intelligence analyst in the Air Force. All of my target countries were either totalitarian or communistic regimes. What I saw there was people is suffering. The regular, everyday people suffered. And when I saw that come to our own shores, I knew that we were in a fight for the soul of our nation, right? And so I decided to step up. The things I learned in the military were that I needed to have and live my life with honor, integrity, and service before self. I've done that since I was the age of 19. After I got out of the military, I became a psychologist, and I served veterans in the VA for 12 years until my supervisor told me that in the VA, we were no longer going to give Cadillac service. We were going to give Pinto service, and that I needed to instruct the people I supervised that that's what they were going to do too. And I said, nope, no way. So I went out into the community, and I've been serving there.
All right, we have 2 candidates for the State House. First, for District 26, Glenn Lancaster.
Thank you. My name is Glenn Lancaster. I'm running for representative in House District 26. I'm a retired businessman. I've never been in politics before. I've retired. I got out of retirement. I guess Tom Brady and I have something in common. But I got 2 sons in Oregon. One's a cop, one's a Marine. I want to tell you folks, I'm running to break the back of the monopoly in Salem. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. So if you believe that we are a government at the consent of the governed, vote for me.
For District 40, Dan Tews.
Thank you. Thank you all. Wow. I'm just Dan. Those guys are great. I'm running for House District 40 because I was born there. I was raised there. I was born there. I was raised there. I employ people there. I run businesses there. I've dedicated my whole life to the district. I've done volunteer work for 45 years. And the reason I'm running is for the same reason every single one of you are here that might not have been here 4 years ago, 5 years ago. It's because we're all mad. And the supermajority in our House has destroyed this state. The legislation coming out of there, I haven't seen anything I liked. I don't know if you have, but I haven't. So I'm going down there to walk out, to fight, and I think this year, with all the help of everyone here, we can at least get halfway through that House and start making this balanced again. Thank you all.
And when we talk local, we mean really local. We have 2 candidates for Clackamas County Commission. For seat 2, Steve Frost.
Hi there, folks. Steve Frost. I am a 7th generation Oregonian, 5th generation in this county. I have personally been in this county for 46 years. I'm not a politician. I'm a businessman. I've been a businessman my entire adult life. I was looking around here earlier, and I saw my first business partner ever right over there, Mike Larson. 16 years old, we opened a roofing company. I took the ball and ran from it from there, and so did Mike. Clackamas County is about independent people. We need room to work, we need the ability to work, and we need a lot less rules and regulations. We can't continue this tax and spend, and we can't continue to misappropriate and show favoritism to our own perfect little places that we live in, which is going on at the commission level right now. So I'm standing up, and we're going to do something about it. So please, come join me.
And finally, the last introduction for place 5, Dana Hindman Allen.
Thank you so much. So I am a 5th generation Oregonian, and there's 2 things I can think about to describe myself. I am fiercely independent, and I'm a free spirit, just like everybody in here. I want to preserve that, our way of life. When I saw the last stop on the block, when all the government had failed and protecting our liberties, and people came into the commissioner's the board meeting, about 500 people, some of them in tears, losing everything, their jobs. There was no one there to stand for them but a couple people. And that is wrong. So I want to be that last stop on the block, if necessary, to say no more. We're going to have a resolution in this county in case any of this stuff comes back. I want to link arms with all of those that get into office, and we're going to turn the tides on this state. We're going to create a new philosophy going forward, and that is not railroading the will of the people. And that's what Oregon has been. Railroading, despite opposition to all these insane policies, they keep marching forward, and that is not the way our government is designed, and we're going to change it. Thank you.
Before we move on into the questions, is there anyone in attendance who is holding elected office or running that is not here? Okay, stand up, please. Introduce yourself. Who you are.
Yes, most of you know who I am. I'm Jo Ray Perkins, running for the U.S. Senate to unseat Senator Ron Wyden. That's it. That's all I can say. Just say no to tyranny and yes to liberty. There you go.
Thank you, Jo Ray. And if you're a veteran, please stand up. Any veterans? All right, so everybody get your cameras ready. I'm going to ask a very important question, and everybody's going to be able to answer at the same time without saying a word. Who believes that mail-in voting is highly susceptible to fraud? Raise your hand. Photo, anybody? That looks like a 9-0 decision. Where is Rob anyway? All right, next question. Who believes that the 2020 election, all the way down the ticket from president to dog catcher in Oregon, was riddled with fraud? All right, thank you. So the reason I asked that question is because election integrity is the most pressing issue in the minds of all conservatives, Republicans, and patriots, no matter how you mash them up. Now, the first question for the two gubernatorial candidates. I would like to know in 1 minute, if elected, what do you plan to do to improve election integrity in the state? We'll start with you, Ms. Barton.
I'm here tonight, and I've been out on the campaign trail to learn more about this, because the saddest thing in the world is that we don't know how deep and bad this fraud is. And that's why everyone is so disturbed and concerned that their votes don't count. So when I'm elected, I have passed out flyers already to everyone here, and on it there's a card that asks you if you have particular expertise in this area. I plead with you to sign up for my election integrity task force. That will be carried through into the governor's office. I will continue that. We will get to the bottom of this if it's the last thing I do. I'm also planning to appoint a special investigator. And the reason I want to do a special investigator is because we all know that we have Shamia Fagan running the Secretary of State's office. That's right. So I'm concerned that anything that comes out of an election integrity task force needs to be reported directly to the governor so that I can take appropriate action on it.
Thank you. All right, we're going to pass the mic to you, Mr. Thielman. Thank you.
So when you're talking about election integrity, you're talking about a relationship. And what you want to do is you have to do two things. If there is at least half the state that thinks that we don't have integrity, which I am one, then we have a problem. There should be very few people. I had a minute again. Okay, just checking. You know, most people just say you're out of time. But anyway, so what we want to do is we want to do a couple of things. We want to actually talk about it. We want to name the problem. The fraud is in the machines. The fraud is in the post office. Okay, that's where it is. The fraud is in the voter rolls that they don't clean up. And we need to go out and talk about that. And when we're in power, we're going to fix it. I'm going to have one citizen, one vote. We're going to go back to analog, paper, the old-fashioned. We're going to have a holiday, take half a day off. I want young kids watching their parents and grandparents, getting together, people in the neighborhood, going down to the local precinct and voting. That's how we bring integrity back. So thank you.
All right, the next set of questions are for the three U.S. House candidates. 9% of Americans approve of the job performance of Congress. It sounds like something needs to change. Please tell me in 1 minute, we'll start with you, Mr. Kavanagh. Tell me in 1 minute how your background, I understand we have a widespread variety of backgrounds. How does your background prepare you to do the work of Oregonians on Capitol Hill?
When I left the film business and the music business, it was to go after the deep state. My first big whistleblowing event caught 296 Superior Court judges red-handed in a laundering scheme and fraud. And little things like starting a company with the name Superior Court Judges Association and having given that, right, the business license because it wasn't taken, and then doing a cease and desist letter to 296 Superior Court judges. That's where it started. I have fought battles I was probably not well equipped to fight. I've lost good friends. I've been swatted. I've had a friend killed by the deep state. I was spied on by the Obama-Biden administration. And they pissed me off. I'm coming after all of them that are knowingly not following their oath, and especially the ones that are doing blatantly underhand things. It's way worse than I ever thought it could be. But anyway, I want to take that into the House. I'm coming after them. We got to hold them accountable.
Mr. DePella, retired surgeon, how does your background align with your goals to prepare you for Congress?
Well, I spent my whole career studying diligently to keep up with all the information in my field because it was constantly changing and advancing. And if I didn't do that, I couldn't deliver quality care to my patients. And in order to effectively help people, you have to be able to communicate with them. And the ideas that have to be communicated are sometimes very complicated and technical. And the people that you're talking to are people, are lay people. They don't have expertise in that area. So you have to be able to explain to somebody what the risks and the benefits are and help them get enough information in an understandable way so that they can make a decision about their own welfare. So I want to inform the people. I trust the people. I've worked with blue-collar people and hard-working people all my life. They're smart and they're very courageous people. And I just want to give you the information, let you make the decisions, and then I'll be there to support you.
All right, Ms. Plowhead, same question to you. Your background is as an intelligence analyst in the Air Force, and your business background since. How does that prepare you for Congress?
So, you know, when I saw after 9/11, the Patriot Act being enacted, I could see what was coming. I knew that at some point that was going to be weaponized against Americans. I was able to see that because I already knew what NSA was doing. I already knew the information they were collecting against American citizens. The only thing that was keeping us from being harmed by it were the laws that were in place. The Patriot Act did away with that. We need to have people in Congress that have the ability to see what's coming 10 years, 15 years, 20 years down the road. Like me. You know, I'm also a small business owner. I've worked on policy boards. I've worked with budgets. I interpret law every day in my job and apply it to everyday life. So all of the things that that we're going to be doing in Congress are things that I'm already doing or have done on a smaller level.
The next set of questions is for the State House candidates. We'll start with Mr. Tews in seat 40. Right front and center, down the road in Salem, what do you think in your district is the most pressing issue that you have an actionable solution for in your first term in office?
I think the most pressing issue is law and order in my district, and the schools issues are right up there even with them. The first thing I'm going to do is put the Democrats on their heels instead of us being on our heels. them constantly writing and pushing bills that are insane. I'm going to write bills. I'm going to start writing bills right away. I'm going to consult with people like Seth on writing bills against voter fraud and mail-in voting. I'm going to write bills against Antifa's domestic terrorism. They literally are attacking people, and trust me, I know, they've stabbed me before. They literally attack people who are exercising their First Amendment rights and go completely uncharged. You all know their charges are dropped almost instantly. And so I think that it's time for us to start writing bills in our favor instead of, and that's why we need a supermajority, our own supermajority in the House of Representatives. So it's time to put them on their heels.
Now the same question goes to Mr. Lancaster running for District 26. First term in office, what do you think the biggest issue in your district is and what you can do about that in your first term?
I'm going to bring to bear my business acumen. I built a business in Oregon starting in 2000 from nothing and sold it in 2020 to 3 guys. Really successful. So what I'm going to bring there is an attitude of fiscal responsibility. What's the first thing that politicians want to do when they are presented with a problem? Throw money at it, right? Why is that? I mean, we need to have cash. We need to have money on hand for things like tornadoes, hurricanes, fires. Anybody familiar with fires? Okay, we need to have the infrastructure and the money in place for that. But in business, you don't have that choice. There's a bunch of people here who are businessmen. You know you are living day to day the pincer of making a profit and the costs. And if you don't run a good business and you don't have quality products, you doubled your cost and you're going to be out of business. You have to innovate. There's no innovation in government. We need, I guess I'm done. Anyway, Glenn Lancaster, vote for me.
The next set of questions is for the Clackamas Commission candidates. We have 2 of them. This is going to be for both of you. The first one, I'm going to ask you 2 so you can get the mic. The first question is going to be a head nod or a side-to-side no. Recently, big news in the election front. We had Nye County in Nevada voted 5-0 to ban the use of electronic voting equipment and go to secure paper ballots. We had similar action in Rio Blanco County in Colorado. So one by one, small counties are breaking with the regulations of the state that corrupt elections. So if elected, are you willing to break with the state on mail-in balloting and the use of electronic tabulation machines and other equipment and put in secure paper balloting and even in-person voting if elected? Okay, both candidates are a yes on that. All right, we'll start with Ms. Hyman Allen for the first question. Obviously a big focus on the economy, local economy, everything's local. Mandates have crippled small businesses, not only here, but all over, especially in the Democrat-run Western states. What are you going to do, if elected, to push back on anything that stifles the growth of business and mandates? 1 minute.
Absolutely. That is really close to my heart, watching everybody systematically, economically being destroyed over the last 2 years. For one, if the mandates come back, I will be the first person to drop a resolution and stop it in this county. I will draw the line, for starters. Second of all, look at the issues with small businesses. What are the barriers they're having? And start releasing some of that economic freedom. And that's part of our freedoms and liberties, our ability to make a living, our ability to chart our own course. And that is what is being threatened right now all over the country. So I will work towards the county to bring a circular economy in the county and start bringing our money and circulating it within our local areas. That's really important. Local control, local sustainability.
Same question goes to Mr. Frost. Your first term in office, what are you going to do to fight back against mandates and grow the economy?
Well, as a local contractor, I've had the joy of dealing with local governments. They're layered. They're absolutely layered and layered and layered, and they are completely set up for failure. We have to get that out of the way. We have to get some personal service back in there. One of the big things I'll do is be there to answer your questions. The guy I'm running against, the incumbent, hasn't been in his office since November. Today was his first day back. How do you talk to your commissioner if he's not there? How do you help your local businesses? A thriving economy is absolutely imperative for this society to work. We have to work. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to dig it out. I'm going to clean it out.
Next set of questions for the gubernatorial candidates. In 1 minute, both of them have very unique backgrounds. This is a good thing. They're not politicians by trade. Miss Barton is an author, a writer for 30 years, has a journal called Brainstorm Northwest, correct? Has extensive background in thought. Now, I would like to know from her, what is it that is going to help you take these ideas that almost all of us are going to agree with and execute within the confines of a sometimes hostile legislature and get things done for the people?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm not afraid to do hard things. I'm not afraid to stand up to the left, and I'm not afraid to use the veto pen. And I think the most important thing that you need to know for the governor coming in, we have the ability to make almost 300 appointments to boards, commissions, and agencies across. And this is what has been killing us for the last 40 years. That vision coming down from the governor through those layers of bureaucracy, and it has been progressively more and more left. And as I said, they're leading us right off a cliff. So as governor, I will step in. I'm probably the person up here with the most experience. I have 30 years of public policy background. But for 40 years, we haven't had any power in this state. Well, I have had enough. At this point in my life, I said it's time to step up and lead. I am not afraid to lead. I have a lot of experience working with the media because I have been through that period, a spokesperson for rural Oregon, for blue-collar Oregon, for businesses and working people and families. I have been a 30-year advocate for education reform, and I will stand with parents 100%. I will back you up.
Mr. Thielman has an extensive background in education. This makes you obviously very strong credentials for dealing with what is absolutely the dumbing down of America. Now, the roles of the chief executive of the state are pretty serious. How do you feel like your single-track career in education is going to translate into the duties of the chief executive?
Well, you may not know this, but I grew up in business. My dad owned Easy Little Boat Trailers. It's a national company out of Spokane, Washington. So I grew up knowing the value of business and how important it was to work with the workforce and to make sure people are compensated and served. My dad got drunk and bought a vineyard. That's how I got into farming, all right? And I farmed grapes, and it was a lot of fun, okay? And I had to learn to work in the rural setting with rural farmers, especially in dryland wheat country where you couldn't spray within a mile of a vineyard, so I had to go and make nice with the neighbors, and that's not an easy skill. But I fell in love with being a farmer, and then I got into ranching and teaching, and then I became a superintendent. So I've done a lot of executive work. I've had to run a small farm. I've had to make payroll. I get it. And the regulations are ridiculous, is what they put small business people through and the way small business people were treated. So I'm uniquely qualified, too, because I've done 10 years of policy work. I'm making up for the microphone. 10 years of policy work in the legislature. I've sat down with Governor Brown, and I solved the purse problem. And then she was mad at me because apparently we weren't supposed to do that. That's how broken our government is. So I'm here to tell you I have a long track record of writing good policy, solving tough problems. I know exactly how the government works. I know where it needs to be fixed, how it's broken, And on day one, you all will see results. You'll see your values represented on day one when I'm governor.
The next question for the U.S. House candidates, in 1 minute each. The radical environmental left will stop at nothing to implement solutions they believe are going to help with climate change, so-called climate change. Obviously, you have a very important timber industry here and other natural industries that are important to preserve. How, if elected to the U.S. House, start with you, Mr. Cavender, how are you going to protect the interest of your constituents against the federal government's approach towards environmentalism?
I'm not waiting to get in the House. They shut down our water in Southern Oregon. Zero water. And so we've gotten lawsuit territory. We've won twice. 2 judges have said, take control over the headwaters and turn it on. Nothing. Cliff Bentz got promised he was going to do something. He got on a water board, still nothing. So I intend to, I'm going to give my trick away, but I'm filing a bond against the sheriff until he turns the water on. He will have a claim filed against the surety bond, and we'll see if that helps get the water turned on. So.
We'll go for Mr. DePella next.
Give me the one that works. Okay. The Green New Deal is a boondoggle. It's not about the environment. Not about the environment. It is an attempt to destroy capitalism, destroy our economy and our national security, and substitute in more big tech internet to monitor all of our activities. So that's what it is. I've read about it. I've read it from the people who are promoting it. I read what they think and what they say, and the technology does not solve problems. Technology has not solved our election problem. It's not going to solve our environmental problems. We have everything we need to succeed in cleaning up our environment. We're all concerned about it. We're Oregonians. We love the outdoors. We love nature. And we can do this ourselves. The people can do it. The people of the United States constitute 70% of the biggest economy in the history of the world. They've won world wars. They've conquered depressions. They've implemented civil rights. They've made changes because the people got involved. And so there are things right now that we can all do individually that will completely turn around any sort of environmental impact. We can continue to use our energy infrastructure and manage it ourselves.
All right, and let's finish up with Ms. Plowhead.
So right now, we have members of Congress encouraging our president, the person sitting in the executive office, to use emergency war powers to be able to solve our energy problem. That is a backdoor to getting through the Green New Deal without having to go through Congress. So what we need to do in Congress is to, number one, stop all of the crazy regulations that they have going on. We need to back those back off of our farmers, off of our forestry industry. We need to return as much of the management of our federal lands to the states or local control. As much of that as we can actually return to the states, we need to do that. Because the people that live there are the ones who are going to manage it best. The other things that we need to do are to work together. You know, we will have a majority, and we need to use it. And so we need to make sure that none of those, the green energies that they're trying to force on us right now, which are actually very harmful to our environment, are allowed to be pushed forward.
For the state representatives, another serious issue, medical freedom. In this state, of course, you were well known at one point for having an outdoor mask mandate in a natural paradise, which I consider somewhat of an issue. A serious local problem. If elected, Mr. Lancaster, we'll start with you. What is your position on vaccine mandates, particularly those affecting employment, and what will you do to preserve your constituents' medical freedom?
I guess I'll answer your question with a question. Whatever happened to informed personal decisions? You can mandate anything to the moon. What is that going to accomplish? All that is an exercise in demonstrating your alleged power. Power is with the voters. The power is with the people. We need to take the power back. And we're doing that. We're demonstrating that.
Well, mandates are unconstitutional, and I've never followed any of them. And I don't wear a mask. And every time I go somewhere and someone tells me to put on a mask, I say no, and I tell them I'm going to spend my money somewhere else. Yeah, that's bull. I do a lot against mandates. I support all the organizations that go and do things. I pretty much do something every day. I am at the maskless shopping events. In fact, at 6 in the morning, I'll be down at the Capitol, setting up a big, huge flag on a big, huge stage where special people will be showing up and talking about this. And so I'll be providing the sound, the stage, the flag, and probably a little security if it's needed. So yeah, boo to mandates. I believe in minimal government and maximum freedom.
This is a good point. If you have a question for a group of candidates or an individual candidate, please line up at the chow line here and give me your question. Now for the county commission candidates, Mr. Frost, we'll start with you. And by the way, before I move on here, whatever happened to my body, my choice? Anybody? All right, so how do you plan? It's a very simple question. It's related to your interpersonal skills, your leadership style. How do you plan to stay connected to your constituents? What is your plan to be of the people?
I think I mentioned it earlier. I'll be in my office. Come and see me. It's real simple. Email, texting. I need to know what you people think. I need you to come to me, and I will be there. I will be at town halls. I will be at my local CPO meeting. I am virtually every month at my CPO meeting, trying to help out my local area. I will be available. It's as simple as that. I'm not going anywhere, and I'm here for you. Thank you.
Well, I'm a real estate agent, so I'm already available 24/7, so no problem. I'm just that way. I'm approachable. If you need to know something, you want to ask a question, I'll do my best to be there for you. If we're getting back to we the people, that means you're participating in your government. So if you like something or don't like something, you need to voice your opinion. That way we can partnership and we can cooperate with moving the state, moving the county forward. So I'm available. So that's what I will bring to the office of commissioner. Thank you. And you're welcome at the meetings.
All right, we've got a question from the audience, and the question is going to be 1 minute answers each for Ms. Plowhead and Mr. Lancaster. The question is, in the event of food and fuel shortages or crises affecting either or both or any other commodity, what is your plan for providing leadership in the event of a crisis?
So food insecurities is a big issue for me. It's one of the reasons why I'm so committed to making sure that our ag is local and that they have as few regulations as possible so that they can actually get food to people that are in their area. That was one of the big issues that we had when they did the lockdown, was that we suffered from distribution issues. So if we're able to have our farmers actually feeding the people in their local area, that means that they have the ability to choose what crops they're going to be giving with or growing without government interference, that they are not having to answer to the government for as many regulations as far as all of the spray and all of that, which is definitely impacts their bottom line and impacts their ability to actually grow enough food for their local area, then we're not going to have those same issues. So if something like that happens again, we're already going to be on the front of it.
So you might have noticed that we're having a little price fluctuation in oil and gas and diesel and the rest of it. I don't know. You might be missing it from the news. But whatever happened to energy independence, as an example to the question? We need to return to energy independence. What happened about making things and manufacturing things in the United States and having multiple sources of supply so we can inoculate ourselves against shortages? Much of what we're going through right now, if not all of it, can be prevented from outsourcing to other countries. There's nothing against other countries. I've traveled the world on business. I mean, I've been to garden spots like Saudi Arabia and other places. We need to bring manufacturing back. We need to enable the entrepreneurs in the United States to get back to business, grow businesses, and compete. Competition is one of the ways you avoid having shortages.
Okay, so I actually have one question for everybody and one statement that I want to make. So the first one I think that we all have on our minds is corruption, right? I don't care where you sit in office, whether it's local, state, federal, there's corruption going on all the time. Supermajorities, not supermajorities. The question is, are you guys willing to pull out your old kindergarten trick and start tattling on the people that you know are corrupt, to let us know, all of us, to be transparent of what's going on behind the scenes? So the question is, are you willing to stick your neck out there knowing that it might hurt your candidacy and let people know what's going on?
Well, I'll take care of that. The management of COVID is one of the biggest disasters in the history of our country. There were unelected bureaucrats with multiple conflicts of interest, collaborating with big industry, high tech, and globalist players that have launched a pre-planned, rehearsed pandemic on our citizens. Everything that happened to us was rehearsed 4 or 5 times over the previous 5 to 10 years. And most recently, just a few months before COVID was introduced into our country from our friends in China. So I'm going to tell you right now, Anthony Fauci has to go. All the people in all the alphabet soup public health organizations need to go. They're all corrupt, and all of the experiments that they've done over the last 40 years in the virus space are very, very suspect. They have tested virus vaccines on people in Africa and other poor people around the world because they couldn't get away with testing them on us. But this time, they figured a way to test the vaccine on us. And they didn't do the safety studies. They didn't do the math. They didn't define their goals. They didn't define the study. They just went ahead and they pushed it on us, and worst of all, they pushed it on our kids.
You want to take a crack at it, Ms. Barton? Okay.
The answer to the question from me is a categorical yes, I will expose corruption. Salem is a swamp. It's an actual swamp. I want to answer this two ways, though, and by telling two stories. The first one is this. In my campaign office one day, I got a call and a request to come to an event, and my campaign staff said, we'll just tell them that you're doing this. And I said, no, you won't. You're going to tell them that I'm going to the barn that day. Because I said, I don't lie. Little lies lead to big lies. And that will be my position as long as I'm in office. The second thing is kind of interesting. About, 15 years ago, Nigel Jaquist at Willamette Week, this was right after the Goldschmidt thing and all that corruption, he put out a story, and he had a graphic that was a spider's web. And he named names of all the people and their web of corruption. I still have that graphic above my desk. I don't forget who is corrupt, and I don't forget the connections. And that's the advantage of someone who's been watching this for 30 years.
Okay, so calling out corruption requires highly developed skills. We're talking about, I stand here before you, the most investigated educator in the history of the state of Oregon. I'm under investigation 3 times right now. And that's what happens because I was the only publicly declared conservative superintendent. This thing's freaking me out. Conservative superintendent in the state of Oregon. And so in other words, I put a target on myself. And then when they came with all their bully behavior, because that's what this government does, I said no. And you guys need to understand the power of the truth, and the timing of the truth is critical. It is a chess game. But as your governor, I'm going to have weekly press briefings. Why? So every week I can tell you about all the horse crap going on in the government. That's how you beat it. And it works this way. This is how I beat the media. You got to give me a second because this is a good one and it's very short. I learned that when I'm being interviewed by Zoom, I just record my half of the deal. And then I make sure that I send it out on a tweet or a text to that reporter in that news station. Once I started doing that, when they quoted me, they would even put in the times I would go, It's called accountability. Truth is a beautiful form of accountability, and you will have lots of that from me.
All right, we're going to give one more candidate this question, and then I've got another one.
So Marc just hit on it. So it goes back to accountability. So it's more than just outing people. We have to do that, but we have to hold them accountable. Right now, we have generals that are using psychological warfare on the American people to try and prepare us for an insurrection at the next election. That's psyops, my friend. Those generals, along with our current sitting president and some of our other generals, have committed treason, and we need to hold them accountable for that. They need to be, yeah.
Kate Brown desires a 17% tax on small business in the state of Oregon. We're going to start with Mr. Tooze over here, and I also want the 2 commission candidates to take a hack at taxes in the local economy. What is your position on supporting small business, your position on taxation, and making it better for business owners?
I started my first business when I was 16 years old, landscaping Charbonneau when they were building it. And other than when I was getting custody of my 8-month-old and 4-year-old, I sold my business at 25 to my best customer. And a great World War II veteran, one of the first warehousing companies in Oregon, who later on sold me back my business, and I've been running it ever since. So I've had a small business my entire life. The taxes kill me every day, every week, every month, and every year, and they never stop. They're designed to prevent us from hiring people. They make it almost impossible for us to give our employees raises. Our taxes, with every dollar we give our employees, we're taxed more and more and more. It just drives companies to not take care of their employees. Unless, of course, you're Amazon. Then it's okay. Anyway. Yeah.
Oh, I love small businesses. I am a small business owner myself, and actually during this whole episode, that was like the last straw for me when I saw her put the 17% retroactive on businesses. It was horrible. I was doing underground meetings with, at the time, underground, because it was during COVID, for small businesses, and we had a bunch of them out there with constitutional attorneys trying to figure out how they can get around the unconstitutional mandates. I absolutely will be an advocate for small business. And if we ever get into this situation again, I will resolve to protect small businesses. They are the heart, they're the soul of our economy. And that's where I stand on that. Thank you.
She's absolutely right. If you looked at my books, I own 2 small businesses. You'd cry. You would absolutely cry. You start with self-employment tax, which is roughly 50%. You throw a 17% retroactive tax against that. You try to retain good employees, and you just, it's almost an impossible fight. I had to hand it off to my son. I just can't do it anymore. I've been doing it for 25 years, my big business, and it's overwhelming, and it's got to stop. You're just, particularly the county, let alone the state and the federal government, are bleeding us dry. They think that this is where all the money's at, and they should really come to my house and see. It's terrible. So I'm with Dana. I'm with any of these people. We got to stop. We got to save these businesses. That's how this economy, and this is how this country was built, and we should be ashamed of ourselves for letting it happen.
The next question is for Mr. Thielman, and this is a good one for an educator. Has to do with the topic of consent of the governed. So that obviously our nation is based on the government only ruling with the consent of the governed. The question is, a majority of the governed are against late-term abortion. Sincerely, a majority are against an outright ban on abortion. Where do your beliefs and policy intentions align on the subject with consent of the governed?
Well, this is a well-timed question since I just got done talking about the value of the truth. So one of the things that our progressive friends in government never do, have you ever noticed this? They never define anything. They never tell you what it means. So in terms of, I'm a pro-life person. I'm a faithful man. I'm a father, yeah. I'm a father of 9 children, so I better be pro-life, okay? But when does life begin for human beings? It begins at conception. It's a biological fact, okay? And that child is a genetically distinct human being, which means it's not part of the body it's attached to, but it's different, and therefore we can't do anything to it. We have to value it. We have to support all of our moms in those situations. Those are tough situations, but we can support all of them. There is no such thing as an unwanted child. I've adopted 3 children of my own, 1 special needs. I'd go back and do it again and again. It is wonderful. That's freaky. Every time I get a good punchline, just start cheering, okay?
I'm also very strongly pro-life, and I'm one of 4 candidates in the race that have been endorsed by Oregon Right to Life, and there is a reason for that, although I don't at all doubt your devotion to the pro-life principles. I do want to say, for me, as governor, this is about more than just the unborn children. I have said we have a problem in Oregon that is like an arc of where we have completely lost our respect for life, our respect for the dignity of life, and believing in the individual life. Government should be taking care of its most vulnerable. And what do? We leave people out on the streets worse than we treat cats and dogs. We don't take care of our foster kids. We don't take care of our mentally ill. We don't take care of people who've been sex trafficked. And we do not take care of vulnerable senior citizens. These are all right to life issues. And as your governor, I will be a very strong advocate to get back to valuing the sanctity and dignity of life across the spectrum of life. I say our children are watching us in every way, how we treat each one of these groups of people. No wonder they lose their values. Look at the example we're providing. I will put a new vision out there for respect for the sanctity of life at every single level. And of course, I am very pro-life. I do understand that in Oregon, 60% of the public wants abortion up to the second trimester, but we have abortions happening in the third trimester up to the moment of birth. This is a travesty, and the public is unaware of it, and I will shine a light on it.
This is our final question before I give each of the candidates a closing statement. Everybody except the U.S. House reps, are you willing to curb, repeal, or stop new existing and new tolls? Mr. Tews.
My grandfather paid for that interstate highway. I remember sneaking onto it with him before it was done. And if I'm not mistaken, we've been being ripped off every year on taxes to repair the roads that they want to toll us for that they don't repair. I can tell you, because you guys go to High Rocks, right? If you're in High Rocks parking lot and you walk outside and you look at Interstate 205, it's the Gladstone exit number 10. One time I was leaving a project at the food warehouses down there. I build storage systems and loading dock equipment at big food distribution facilities. And I watched the landscape truck, a guy on a cell phone, lose control, go into the grass, scurry across the highway, hit the concrete divider in the middle of 205. You can go see it. It's still there. It's been 2 years, but it's still there broken. And the truck flipped over. All the lanes are shut down. I actually asked ODOT. When you have a problem with the road, you can go on, you can ask ODOT. They immediately, as one good law we have, they immediately have to respond to you within 48 hours. Anyway, I asked him the other day, why is it still broken? Because we were doing an event at High Rocks, and I was outside, and I look over there, and me and my son pulled this gentleman out of the truck because we were the first ones on the scene, and it was lit up. I called them. They said, oh, we can't find a concrete contractor for 2 years. And it's a medium barrier. If somebody hits that, they will die. They literally will die because it's an abutment into the road. So I feel about that.
Well, thank you for the perspective. It's an important issue. You don't have to go in depth. So the question is, are you in favor of repealing existing tolls, stopping new tolls? Yes. Okay, so Mrs. Barton is a yes. Hey, Mr. Lancaster. Yes. He's a yes. Mr. Cavender. Yes. Oh, you're a U.S. rep candidate. So, Ms. Heineman-Allen.
Clackamas County does not want tolling. That's right.
Does Mr. Frost agree with that? He's completely in agreement. Okay, Mr. Thielman. Yes, he's in favor of curbing as well. All right, good. So we've reached the end of the questioning. Now we're going to go 1 minute each. This is a closing statement. The closing statement is the appeal to you, more of a vision, if elected, what this term is going to be about. And we have to look back at issues and failures. Otherwise, we wouldn't have this contest that we have called the Animating Contest of Freedom. This is the system that we have. We have to address our issues. People that don't bring solutions are not valid candidates. All the questions asked are designed to get the answers in your ears. So we'll start here at the end of the table with Mr. Tews. Your closing statement. What sets you apart not only from your primary challengers, if you have any, but from your general election challenger? Why should the people put you in office?
Yeah. I will never wear a mask, and I believe it's a crime what they've done to us and our children, especially our children. I watched a video of a mom picking up her baby, and she had her mask at her chin, and the baby reached up and put it over her face. Yeah. It's really sad what we've done to these children. And I think that, and I don't even remember the question anymore, but I'm a 5th generation, like he's 7th generation from my district. I can represent it because of my life experience in the district.
You have 19 candidates you have to choose from, and I want you to think about 2 questions. Number 1, who can win the general election? Number 2, who do you trust once they are in there to really push back, to get some results, to turn things upside down? To that question, I'm telling you, I am the outsider. I don't owe anyone anything. I have no interest in a long-term political career. I've spent 30 years on these problems. I want to solve problems for you. In terms of who can win the general election, I know that I am the candidate, prepared in every way. I have a long, big campaign across the state in all the counties. I have the financial backing behind me. I have the strategy team behind me. But even more important, voters in every group, non-affiliateds, the Democrats that are disaffected, all Republicans, everyone is looking for a new kind of leadership. All of them are looking for someone who is relentless and fearless and will solve problems. And that is me. And I'm asking you for your support. I ask you for your vote. This is a
So I am the only person in my race that's actually been out there doing stuff. The thing I hear more than anything is, I see you everywhere, and that's true because I am everywhere, because I'm committed to serving this state. That's right. We've had too many people giving us lip service for too long and then getting into office and doing the opposite of what they say. So we not only need someone that's willing to actually get there and do what they say, but we need someone who's willing to do it now. So I've been out there. I've been helping with the recalls, or to prevent the recalls. I've been out there fighting for our kids. I've been out there fighting against the mandates. I've been out there collecting signatures, trying to, have integrity in our elections. So, we need people that are willing to put their feet to the ground and do the work. And I'm that person.
My close is to go back to the beginning when Don was talking. I want to echo, if you want to change what's going on, understand something. Politics are downstream of culture. If we don't change the culture, the politics are never going to change. I sold my business, I retired, I was going to concentrate on my granddaughter, I was going to do this, that, and the other thing, and then I realized, suddenly it dawned on me, I know where it came from God. He said, donating and voting isn't enough, Glenn, you got to take action. Folks, action, 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 as Steve Bannon says on War Room if you watch it. You've got to take action. I got involved April last year, became a PCP, was lucky enough to get elected as a delegate to the state convention. I'm telling you, get involved. We need people. We are so short-handed. We have so much room for everybody to get involved, and you can work on your central issue. You don't have to follow a directive. No one's following you from behind to beat you with a stick. If you get involved, if we fill all these seats, we can change the culture, we can change the party, and we can return it back to where the power is and belongs permanently, the people.
Right on. I'm so happy. Thank you, by the way, for inviting me here, Don. And The problem I'm facing right now, the only problem really, is not enough people know Cliff Bentz is a clown. And it wasn't just that he voted for the J6 commission, boo, but he voted for AOC. He voted with AOC 36% of the time. And nobody knows it. He's not famous enough. I need your help to call all your friends in the 2nd District and just let them know what's going on. Like, he says he supports veterans. Well, I'm a veteran. Support me. And don't lock him up for going to a Trump rally in D.C. Hello. Anyway, I need your help with that. And thank you for being here, and thank you for being strong patriots, and we got to help each other get through this. I think I think we can turn from a 1 red district to 3 red districts in Oregon right now. Yeah, at least 4. God bless you.
What sets me apart from my other opponents is I have an eye on the big picture. I will be able to see what's going on all levels of government, and I will be able to condense it down and deal with things locally. I will be able to anticipate things that are coming. I am a voracious reader. I like to know what's going on. And I'm not going to give you all the buzzwords and the taglines, because I hear that with some of my opponents. I'm going to give you the results. I actually arrived to running for office because I've been with the Free Oregon movement, the Open Oregon movement, the Restore Oregon. I want to see this state on the right track. It has been absolutely a dereliction of duty at every level. There are shining stars. There's some in the room that have worked hard to make sure this Oregon gets back on track. I want to join those stars that are working on it. So what sets me apart is I like to get things right. I'm straight up. I'm going to tell it how it is. And if I see something that's wrong, I'm going to try to fix it. Thank you.
All right. Would it help if I said my jokes are better? Would that work? See? Say no? No? My campaign people say never joke. Obviously, what sets me apart is I don't talk and I don't act like a regular politician. I would be drinking a beer right now, but my campaign people won't let me. The thing that's powerful is, and I want everybody to understand, what have I been doing for 10 years? I've been engaging directly and opposing bad policy in the government. I've done my part to try to write good policy. The bottom line is, right now, they have a supermajority. They literally can do what they want, and it's shameful. So, I'm here to shake it up. As your next governor, here's what you can look forward to. Here's what sets me apart. I know how to be investigated and come out smelling like a rose. I know how to bring the truth to the people. And I will deliver on the things I say. There's a difference between aspiration and action. And I'm a person of action. Marc for Oregon. Thank you.
I don't think it would be hard to tell you what my beliefs are and get all of you to vote for me in the primary. In fact, that's why I'm standing up here. But I think the real challenge is reaching those folks that don't think like us on many of the issues and finding places where we agree. And how can you be against slavery and agree to have the border be open where innocent women and girls are traveling to the border? 30% of them get raped before they get there. Many of them go into slavery. I have treated men that have come across the border and paid their coyotes money, were not able to pay them back, and they were slaves. And they got hurt on the job, and they were treated very badly. And their families came in and wept in my room, in my exam room, and told me how terrible their life was because they wanted to come here for freedom, but they were deceived when they hit the border. And how can you be an environmentalist when the people that represent you are allowing 2 million people to come across the southern border, each one of them leaving between 40 and 80 pounds of excrement and garbage on the Rio Grande River, along the estuaries and all the very delicate desert landscapes? How can you be for the environment and allow that to happen at the same time? How can you say that you're against homelessness and you're against drugs when you have that border open and the drugs are pouring through, and there's twice as many people that died this year as died last year? So I think being in a calm state of mind, like a determined surgeon, which drives people crazy because I don't get excited when everybody else is panicking, and be able to sit across the table and let that person vent on you until they're done venting and they've run out of gas, and then having a conversation and asking them questions about how we're going to solve the things that we both care about. Those people have to vote for your candidate in order for your candidate to represent you in the Congress.
My unique attribute is I've been here. I've seen it decay. I've seen it fall. I've seen the layers and the political BS that goes on and on and on. I come from a construction background. I believe in the team player concept. I'm going to surround myself with people like Dana. We're going to go after these people. We're not going to mess around. We're going to repeal a bunch of this junk and get it out of our way so that we can be economically successful and drive this county. And I also, education is huge. I spent years and years working with children, working with my school district. I know the value, and I will fight tooth and nail for it. And as my wife loves to tell me, I was never taught to back down ever. I am a pit bull. I will get in there and dig in, and I'm very much a Clackamas County redneck. John, will you hold? John, will you? John, will you hold my beer and watch this? That's my position. We're going to get it done. I'm going to cause a ruckus. It's that simple. Thank you.
That's a good one. What's up? All right, everybody. That was, first of all, let's give it a big hand for our panel. Thank you all so much. Thank you. Thank you. Fantastic job, you guys. You guys made this, I mean, amazing. Really, just what a dynamic, fantastic panel that was. Everybody, I'll admit, we handpicked these people here. We had two candidates try to crash that weren't invited, not because they're not good people or good candidates, but they're not active. They think they could just, hey, show up, and I can be here. That bothers me. These people reach out to me and our group all the time. We show up at places with them. They show up at places with us. They're all fighting for us. We need to fight for them. Okay? We need to fight for our country, our children, and our grandchildren. No more, right? No more can we sit idly by, as we've seen, and say, oh, I elected some people and they're taking care of it. Okay? I have been really close to a lot of the politics going on in our state right now. And for those who don't know, I'm actually the Oregon Republican Party's co-chairman on election integrity. And is Janice Dysinger still here? Janice? She's my coach. I want to recognize Janice because I'm her co-chair, and this woman has been fighting for you for over a decade. Tooth and nail, fighting the legislature, writing legislation, fighting legislation, getting people out there for decades. I am honored to have the opportunity to work with and around her. She is unbelievable, and I'm learning a tremendous amount from Janice. So Janice, I love you, and thank you. All right. I also want to take one moment to recognize Ms. Kim Thatcher, Senator Thatcher. She showed up. Stand up. Everybody see your pretty face. If you were here at one of our previous events when we had Trevor Loudon a couple weeks ago, You will remember that Senator Dennis Linthicum was here. Another fantastic senator that we have. These two, they're both fighting hard for us. Support them. Send them emails. Let them know you support them, even if they're not in your district. Let them know you appreciate the hard work they're doing for us. Okay? Yeah, let's say again? Some of the stars, absolutely. So yes, we will support you again. Right? Okay. Yeah. All right. So, real quick, I'm going to have Seth come back up for and tell you a little bit about some of the stuff he's been doing around the country. If you're not totally familiar with Seth, he's been all over the country fighting the battle, doing statistical analysis, providing that to people like me, counties around the country, and speaking and talking and speaking and working his tail off all over the country. Every day he's somewhere else. He was at a couple different places today, places yesterday. A real champion for the country and a great patriot. Seth's going to address and talk about some of the things he's been dealing with and seeing around the country. Seth? What?
Hi, you guys.
That's not Seth.
I'm not Seth. Hello, everyone. This right here is a historical spittoon. We're going to pass it. Seth comes here for nothing. I would like you guys to honor that. He goes everywhere for nothing, almost everywhere. Thank you to our candidates. Thank you guys. You guys are what make the difference here in our county and our state, and I applaud you for that. I want you to honestly ask yourself what you can do. What can you do? What can you run for? What can you influence? Where can you do it? At the grocery, at the library, at the school, with your grandchildren, anywhere. Think about... well, we've heard that, right? So who's not a PCP? Hold up your hand if you're not a PCP. Not. Okay, I'm going to welcome you to come back over here to this area. If you'd like to be a PCP, you can sign up tonight with us. Okay, here, we're going to pass this for Seth. Also, one very important thing. We are Take Back America, Clackamas County. We are... Yay. What I want to talk to you guys about really quick is something very somber but important. We have a member that is no longer with us. Her name is Leila Blakely. She was a shining example of a patriot, a lover of people. She has always fought for what she has believed in. She is not with us anymore, like I mentioned. Her husband, Brent, is still here. We have a card over here if you guys would like to sign. You guys, many of you might know her. She is everywhere. She was doing petitions. She spoke at the county, which please do. You don't have to be a PCP to go to the county and speak. You don't have to be a PCP to go to the school board and speak, okay? You have a voice, use it. You have a perspective, use it. It doesn't have to match mine. I'm a crazy nutcase, okay? People know me as a crazy lady. But whatever you have to say, stand up and say it. That's what Leila did, and I just want to take a moment and honor her. As Seth begins to do his talk, please realize that he is an influencer. We are all influencers. He realizes that, okay? You have a voice, as I said, but also, if you have a passion, tap into that. Find where you can be useful and go right to that area. If you don't know, Take Back America. Everybody from Take Back America, Clackamas County, raise your hand, please. Stand up, raise your hand, let everybody see you. Okay, so look at these faces. Introduce yourselves. We love you already. And if you need help with anything, if you need advice, if we can help you hook into whatever your passion is, please let us know. Okay? We love you guys. Here's Seth. Oh, I'm sorry, sir. One more thing. Do you guys see this quilt up here? Okay. My mom made that. And there's a raffle for this. You can come to the same table where Leila's card is, where you can. She's right here. Mom, can you stand up, please? Mom, right, so if you guys are interested in trying to get this quilt, we have a raffle for that. You can come to the same table over here, be a PCP, buy a raffle ticket, be somebody. Be the person that you already are, okay? Please, thank you. I love you. Good night. Here's Seth.
That is perhaps the greatest quilt Nobody's ever seen a quilt like this. And by the way, we totally won Oregon, that I can tell you. The quilt is perhaps the best in history, maybe ever. So please go ahead over to the table and put in $20 for the raffle drawing. Now, I would like to say I am proud to stand in front of these tables of candidates. I did not hear anybody draw from decades of political experience and offices held. Incumbents are the problem. Yeah. The goal of tonight was not to throw a bunch of gotcha questions out. Right? Anybody that lives in this country, the 2020 election, the results, I would assume almost everyone in this room, probably 100% of the room, is upset about the outcome of the 2020 election. But had it been a fair and true outcome, you would have accepted the outcome. Right? That's who we are. So likewise, these candidates, none of them are competitors except two. But these folks laid their heart out there today. We asked legitimate questions that concern your issues. And we kept it specific. You all need to research. I was across the river yesterday in Washougal, and there's a nasty primary going on for the U.S. House seat there. And I told everybody when I mentioned one candidate but didn't mention the other. I didn't bash the other. And people were upset about it. And I said, do your research, cast your vote in the primary, and figure it out. So too many people walk through life aimlessly without putting their brain in the game and figuring things out. So we got all the candidates in their assigned roles: state house, gubernatorial, U.S. House, county level leadership. Local leadership is critical. Now, I'm known because I put my work out there for the presidential elections. There's established trends that go back over 100 years that outline ways elections can be predicted. But I will be the first person to tell you that the reason we've lost control, why you've lost control of Oregon, is because you've lost control of local government. So the county commissioners will understand that. But you may be the only book on freedom that anyone ever reads. The way you live your life, the principles that you live by. You're the only person out of 100 people. You won't believe it in an airport sometimes. When you get off that plane and you pull that mask off, and you go down an escalator and you look around and there's other people looking left and looking right, they pull their mask off too. So freedom is a contagious thing. So in your true spirit, and I was asked to pray as well, so why don't we do that before I go any further? God, we thank you for the freedoms we still have, to be able to gather here without fear of backlash. And I thank you for the candidates who came and spoke their platforms. I pray that they would honor you with their campaigns, that they would trust you with the results. I pray that the results would be fair. You call for government to deliver righteousness and justice. And God, we run our country on the consent of the governed. And I pray that through the efforts and the courage made by the people in this room and outside of it, that you would have mercy on us for neglecting our roles in society and bring us back to a place of liberty, even if it takes a long time, that we would not grow weary in this, that you would restore us, and that you would give all the people here courage to fight for their state. And we thank you for the blessings you've given to us and the blessings of liberty that we've had and we can have again. Amen. Yeah. Does anybody here know who Wally Pipp is? Wally Pipp. I was asked that by my baseball coach about 22 years ago. I was a 6'4" ninth grader who could not put one foot in front of the other. And I didn't make my baseball team. It was a nationally ranked program, but baseball stats got my mind from a young age working to take data and make it into something actionable. So I eventually went to college, and I worked for a nationally ranked baseball program at Ole Miss, and we became one of the top programs in the country, and I was able to work with our coaches to integrate data and statistics into plans to make our team better. It was about 10 years ahead of the analytics wave in baseball, but from a young age, I was put into this role. Likewise, you can be put into a role using your talents for good. Our coach asked the team one day, because we had a bunch of whiny babies on the team that wanted to take a day off every time they had a headache. And he sat everybody down in the grass in the outfield, and he said, does anybody know who Wally Pipp was? Well, of course, the nerd stat guy raised his hand. That was me. And he said, hey, shut up. He was from Minnesota. And he said, Wally Pipp, explain who it is. Well, Wally Pipp was the first baseman for the New York Yankees in 1923. And he had a headache one day when he showed up at the ballpark and asked his manager for a day off. And he was replaced by a young, tall left-hander named Lou Gehrig, who came in the lineup that day, and then he played 2,130 consecutive games. And he became known as baseball's Iron Man, one of the greatest players of all time. And, of course, he was the person who was afflicted with ALS that we know as Lou Gehrig's disease, but he was one of the greatest ball players of all time. What did Lou Gehrig have? Was he seized opportunity when it came to him. So you have an opportunity in front of you. You can absolutely pack your bags tonight and go to Texas or go to Florida or go to Arizona or go to Idaho. Sometimes your parents are there and they're sick, they're older. Sometimes you cannot afford to live here anymore. I get it. Individual cases, sometimes this happens. It's easy for me to say, being from a so-called red state. I'll tell you, they're coming after Texas with all the fury of hell. It takes no conviction to pack up and leave to another place. It takes a special person to stand and fight. We have 4 different races represented here. We have gubernatorial, U.S. House, State House, and County Commission. 4 different tiers of candidates. What they all have in common is they are running for office in this state. And this is one of our 50 states. I was in California last weekend at the Reawaken America tour talking about a real pandemic, which I call electile dysfunction. And it just came to me to mention to the crowd that California is part of the United States and is full of millions of God-fearing, liberty-loving patriots. It is our state. It is not theirs. So Oregon is your state. It is not their state. All right. So by their state, I don't mean Democrats. I mean the enemies of liberty and freedom. No, we are a free people. So the moment you walk out those doors and you choose to be a free person, there is no political status, no party belonging to a governor or a president that makes you less free until you choose to live on your knees. And I love coming to the Pacific Northwest. I was in Washington yesterday. I'm in Oregon today. And in Washington, I walked out in Washougal, and I walked out on the porch. And it was a clear view across the river of Mount Hood. And I looked at the Columbia River, which 217 years ago, Lewis and Clark sailed on their way to the Pacific Ocean. I looked out to the west, and I saw the fading sunlight over the Pacific Ocean. They would love for all of you to vacate the state and control it without a fight. And then you're going to move to Arizona. And by the way, did anyone see what happened in Arizona in the last election? Does anybody see what happened to Texas? Maybe not. It was gross. Florida, gross. they are going to replicate their plans in every state. So this is your home. I would encourage you, if circumstances will allow for it, for you to put every ounce of energy and passion you have into saving and reviving your home state. Because truthfully, our ideas have substance to them. I'm known for my work on elections, but I clearly care about all of the issues affecting liberties and freedom. I sat down the other day when I got into town in Portland. I had a couple hours to kill, and I hadn't really rehearsed my slides that I was going to brief in Washougal that night. And I was sitting in Portland in an area, in a precinct. This precinct went 100% for Joe Biden. 100%. Not 99.5%, 100% for Joe Biden. And I hadn't rehearsed stuff. I'm pretty bad about that. I usually go by the seat of my pants, and I just kind of spit it out there. But I decided to rehearse the new information, so I've gone through the 10 points to cure erectile dysfunction. And I wanted to sharpen these points, so I pulled my laptop out, and I decided, you know what? I will take on anybody, any place, anytime, and anywhere to talk about the points of the 2020 election. They're going to call you names no matter what. Every one of these candidates, they'll probably tell you already their Facebook page is filled up with haters because their ideas don't have any substance. Okay? The reason you got haters is because the only thing they have to throw at you is accusation. Who is the accuser of the brethren in the scriptures? Right. So they are going to take flack, especially when they stand up to preserve your rights and liberties. But I sat down at a park bench in Portland in this 100% Biden precinct. And I pulled my laptop up, and I went through my slides. And I said, I'm going to brief all these people. I don't care what they think of me. I'm going to brief them on my points. And would you believe it? You wouldn't believe it. They did not push back at all on what I had to say. It really shows you 41% of Democrats believe that the 2020 election was impacted by fraud. But they didn't have anything to say to me. I don't know. Maybe it had something to do with the vest. I don't know. And by the way, before I go any further, I'd like you guys to give a round of applause to Rob and Connie for hosting this event.
I got to tell everybody why I didn't catch COVID. I'm below the level of COVID, because as this guy sits down, I'm still no taller than his ass. So I'm below the level of COVID. I shouldn't have to wear a mask. All us short people need to we need to go together. We need to stop this COVID stuff. All short people, let's get together. Come on. You see, he sits down, I'm still below the level of COVID.
Is your vote actually a full vote?
Well, my vote, I vote with the, what is it? We are the people, the Willy Wonka song.
Look, so Rob is so short. I heard that when he was born, his dad passed out cigarette butts.
My dad didn't put out cigarette butts. He just said, son of a bitch. Here he is. Okay.
All right. So I was there a half. Gotcha. So no, for a half hour, I got absolutely zero pushback from this 100% Biden precinct. It was unbelievable. And I went through point after point after point. No incumbent has gained votes since 1892 and lost re-election. What happened in 2020? Trump won all of these bellwether counties and bellwether states. What happened? And I went through all the points, and I didn't get any kickback. I was shocked, to be honest with you. But really, having matched them mentally and gotten no kickback, I felt like I accomplished something. So I folded up my laptop computer, got up off the bench, and I left that cemetery. This is an animating Sam Adams. Who knows Sam Adams? I'm not talking about the crappy beer.
You know what? I wouldn't be here tonight if it wasn't for this guy. Where is he? There's my master sergeant right there. Come on. Come here. Come here. This guy kept me out of trouble. Here he is, Larry. Come on, Larry. No. I wouldn't be here without you. No. These guys, get over here. Retired Marine Corps top sergeant, okay? I'm shorter than him.
Just real quick, something sideways. I was a Marine Corps recruiter here in Portland. I went to his house. I enlisted both his brothers. He come up to me, he says, when can I join? I said, well, as soon as you get bigger.
Still never happened. Only fatter.
He said, I'll do anything in the Marine Corps but be a cook. Guess what? He's a cook.
You know my dad was a chef.
I put out a post on Telegram recently. Some people, whenever you have a big enough following, they're like, you need to run for office. I don't really want to run for office, and that's not an insult to anyone behind me. No. But the point is, I made a point that I wanted to be a modern-day Sam Adams. I love Sam Adams' wit, his intelligence, and his audacity. His beer's terrible. But he said that this is not victimhood. So if anybody would have said we're victims, or Jimmy Carter, we're Malays and we can't win this, you are all, maybe not all of you, you're underdogs. You're generally underdogs in the state. But Americans were underdogs against the most powerful empire in the world. Right? That is what we come from. But Sam Adams said it does not take a majority to prevail, but rather an irate minority intent on setting brush fires of freedom in the hearts and minds of men. So when it's dark out there, you have the opportunity to bring the change. So if you choose to live a mindset of victimhood, it's not as good as it was when my parents were here. It's not the state that I grew up in. You will reap victimhood. You will reap the fruits of that, which are a loss of your liberties, a loss of your spirit. Okay, when you bring back that fire to individually, house by house, and precinct by precinct, and county by county, you will breathe life back into your state. Hey, people have lost sight of these goals. They've thought only about the presidency or only about the governorship, and they've lost sight of these people that come in at the local level, and they compromise all of the things that you care about. So what this means for you is to choose the mindset of an animating contest of freedom, not victimhood. It's an animating contest of freedom. You can go out there and have fun. Nobody is drawn towards sourpuss, John McCain, grumbling, complaining victims. Nobody appreciates that. People do appreciate folks that succeed against all odds, that keep their business open despite what the state says. I've met a number of people like that continue to live as free people even though their state says otherwise. Go out on your trails without your mask on. Give me a break. God gave you an immune system. You should use it. But you are all individually responsible for being the guardians of liberty in this country. So what it means for you, 16 months ago, nobody knew who I was except for my friends and the people I served in the military with. But I put to use what I did well, which is making people understand complicated things in an easy manner, telling jokes, wearing a vest. And I put it to use with the things I cared about, which is liberty, and in this case, a loss of liberty, because I saw what happened in the 2020 elections very clearly. Some of you may be dragged into an event. You may not have known what was going on or known about any of these candidates here. But if that's you, all of you care about something. I'm an elections person, but I do care about other issues. But if you're a pro-life activist, good. God gave you that desire and that passion to solve that. That's a serious crisis. If you are somebody who's in nursing or a doctor and you see the surgeon here, he has a medical background. You see the injustice done and what the impact is on business. You have a mandate now inside your spirit to do something about that and combine it with what you care about. And when you do that, you trust God to use your efforts in whatever way that means. It may mean that you're a powerful voice in your neighborhood or in your county or a statewide person or maybe even a national person. I did not set out to be known. And until a certain general told me to make a Twitter account, nobody knew who I was on social media. And I made one. And then the audit movement took off, and my work took off. So I took that as I'm being obedient to God, using my skill set, and letting him work with me. We will not retrieve our liberties in any state in this country if we seek to not lose anything, if we seek to not be defeated or upset. Okay, we have to take risks. And it's not easy to do that. The people that sailed to Columbia in 1805 and made it to the Pacific Ocean did not care about their 401k. They didn't care about what the naysayers said, and they had plenty of naysayers. Word just traveled much slower in 1805. Thomas Jefferson took a lot of heat for even commissioning that expedition that explored the way to the Pacific Ocean. There will always be haters in your life. There will always be people that tell you you can't do something. But history is not written about the people who said you can't do it. It's written about the people who did do it, the people that got in the boat and sailed out of the safe harbor. I've talked to people just in the last 24 hours here in Oregon who have had their homes lit on fire for pushing back against mask mandates, for attempting to run for office in various positions. People that say that there is a hit on their heads for being noisy about the topic of liberty. And I'll be the first person to tell you, I would rather be taken out now living as a free man than live another 60 years on my knees. So when somebody here in the Portland area threatens you because you're a free man or a free woman, you can say screw you, okay? Because you are going to live a life of freedom, and that is going to be contagious to all the people around you. And I want to encourage every one of you here to stay the course, pick up your sword, get involved in the fight, and trust God with those results. And if we all collectively do that, if 150 people in this room decide to get involved courageously, you are going to take risks. You are going to get hit pieces written about you if you have the slightest advance in success. The slightest advance, they will write hit pieces about you. But let me tell you this. I had one written about me in the New York Times last month. People always wonder, I always wonder, why do conservative people give statements to the New York Times? I'll tell you why. It's because they email you with a list of stuff they're going to print about you, and you can either let it fly or you can correct the record. So that's how you wind up giving an interview to the New York Times. Well, I was put in the New York Times in a hit piece. I was supporting cast, but I was in the article several times. Not one person in my life or in my comments section, friend or foe or anyone else, commented to me that, hey, you were in the world's most widespread publication. Not one person. So forget it. Forget what they have to say about you. They're going to come after you. They may even come after your business. But if you comfortably get to your grave with a big 401k and pass on your business to someone else in your family line, and you look back on your life and you decided to live it on your knees, do you think you'll live to regret that? That's the question you need to ask. So don't settle for less than being the free people that you already are. Our founders believed that we're made in the image of God, and because we're made in His image, we have dignity. And because we have dignity, we are afforded these inalienable rights, and we enshrine them in our founding documents. That was the people that founded this country. They had it much better than we did today. They even threw a rebellion in Boston Harbor over a tax on their breakfast drink of choice. You were muzzled for 2 years here. Look how far we've fallen. With that said, I trust that all of you are here because you care about something. You need to look in the mirror tonight and decide if you're willing to take a risk and have a hit piece written about you in the papers. All of these folks will. 100%. They'll call you the worst things. They will call you the worst things in the world. They will dig up your past. They'll dig up your mistakes. They'll dig up your failures. They'll dig up your affiliations, and they'll call you every kind of a conspiracy theorist. But if you read the book, the book, it's full of people that are screwed up, that were redeemed and used for great things. So when I come back, what's that?
How high is the mirror? Because I might not be able to see it.
Well, if the mirror needs to be at least 2 meters high. When I come back, all right.
Okay.
So
here we go. Yeah. Yes. Okay.
when I come back, I expect to hear stories of progress here. Okay, you guys are as free as anyone else in the United States, should you choose to be free. Okay, you're gonna persevere under a corrupt system, and through your efforts and through your courage and through your hard work and diligence, you can restore what has been lost. It's been done before. We can do that again. So thank you all very much. Thank you, candidates, for being here. It's been an honor.
Seth. Great job. Thank you very much. All right. I had a conversation a second ago. This is a little bit impromptu, so hold on 1 second. Come forward. Tell your story briefly, right? What you told me. It's beautiful.
What is the definition of a grassroots activist?
Grassroots activist.
A grassroots activist is not just having your vote, but is to have the vote as one other, right? So if I vote, it's great. But if I vote for 10 others, it's better, right? So these candidates need their signs in your yard. People drive by, you have 10 votes, 15 votes, 20 votes. That is a great grassroots activist. So how many of you are great grassroots activists?
Perfect. All right. So here's where it gets uncomfortable. That was poultry. That was poultry effort. I'm sorry, but it was. So here's the deal. For every dollar that's put in here from here forward, I know some of you put in some. There's a passage in the Bible that I love. The prostitute comes to Christ. Everybody's coming up to the table and they're giving money, right? And there's kings. They're giving gold and myrrh and sheep, right? They're giving so much. And the prostitute comes up and she gives a pittance. And Jesus blesses her. And the others say, well, why are you blessing her and not us? We gave so much more. And he said, because she gave everything. Right? She gave everything that she had. I'm not asking you to give everything you have, but each according to their ability. Now, here's the gauntlet I'm throwing down. From here forward, on your way out, every dollar that goes in here, we have a commitment to double matches. I'll match it, and Rob is going to match. So every dollar you put in here is worth 3. All right? So step up. Here it is. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for coming. You don't have to go home, but you can stay here. Oh, somebody said they didn't know what that bucket was for. That bucket actually is for Seth because he didn't ask for anything and we need to pay his expenses. So please step up and pay Seth and be grateful. On the quilt. Are we going to raffle it? Oh, time out. I just found out we're actually raffling off the quilt tonight. So if you put money in for the quilt, hold on. Somebody's going to get a